Alright, welcome to my ramshackle video I put together here real quick about some of my frustrations currently with X4 Foundations and specifically the station logic overview as well as the auto trade functions. I'll try to keep this as quick and to the point. I'm sorry it's not really flashy and I'm not going to do any edits here, but I want to kind of just dive into this as quick as possible because I don't want it to be a overly long video. Just please bear with me if my mic quality is not of the best. I'm not a professional YouTuber, so I'll just try to do the best job that I can. And this is coming, even if there's a lot of frustration in this video, it's coming from a huge fan of the game. So that said, let's get right to the point. For background real quick, I'm playing from patch 1.3 on a fresh save. I did that because of the economy changes that were made, even though Egosoft said that we didn't need to make a new game. I didn't want to take a chance. I just bought, took the loss and was like, hey, whatever, I'll start a new game. We'll see if the war economy is kicked off. And then 1.32 really kind of kicked it up a notch. And as of this video, that's where we're at, 1.32. So that being said, let me kind of get into this. So, recommendation that I have right off the bat, and let me just get into the meat of it, is, as you can see, here's my 3 stations. That's our player HQ. I've renamed them, but really my main one is this top one. This one I created to artificially fix the Holy Order of Pyramid small and medium ship wharf, and I was able to do that because of some of the amazing feedback from the community and things that people had shared. One of the things was that somebody said, hey, if you give them roughly about 3,000, it seems like they fix themselves, and they did. Amazingly enough, they did fix themselves, and I have like a thought as to why that was broken, but it's really not kind of an important factor because Egosoft's already well aware of it and have directly said, hey, we know what's going on and we're going to fix it. So that said, let's get in my main base. So this main base used to just only be, we'll go in a logical overview, used to only be a Claytronics. It was very bare bones. It was only Claytronics being manufactured here with no really kind of closed loop sort of thing. I was really relying almost 100%. Besides energy cells, I was almost 100% relying on importing my wares to be able to produce and then export Claytronics, right? Makes sense. And I was making a boatload of money. And if you want to look at my my wealth, I think I was sitting around the time at like 270 mil. So after thinking about it, I was like, hey, I'm going to take this to the next logical step. Let me make this a closed loop and cut the middleman out, meaning instead of buying wares and importing them, I'll just produce them on site, and I should see a huge increase in my revenue stream for that base, right? Makes sense. Like, all I need to do is make sure I have miners at the base, although that shouldn't even have that huge of an impact, but I went ahead and did that. Made sure they had both gas and ore miners. And yeah, and then I really kind of kept a close eye on it, but I still started losing money. Went from about 275 million, I've been slowly losing money, dumping money into these shipyards to the point where I'm now sitting here. So how does that make sense? How do you go from a station that was almost completely reliant on imports to a station that all it needs is the occasional imports of raw mining materials, whether gas or ore, and it starts losing money, right? So I really kind of started looking at this, and then that's when I came to the huge recommendations I want to make. We need more control over this logical overview. Right now, buying and selling, our station manager decides that on some predetermined thing that he has, and we can only turn them both on or turn them both off, right? With this restrict button. It is my thing that I want to put out there that we should have the option to turn off, on or off buy, on or off sell. It shouldn't just be a toggle for both, because there's times that you're going to want to tell your manager, no, stop buying them. I don't need you to keep buying me, let's say, energy cells anytime that just dips down a little, but I'm cool with you selling them, right? And then just monitor the situation every now and then. Because one thing we can't do is, if you look at antimatter cells, if I turn off automatic pricing and I try to set this at a 1 so that nobody would, in their right mind, would ever sell me or make a deal with my station manager. My game's probably auto-saving. Hang on a sec. Sorry about that. Yeah, it just auto-saved. Let me get right back into that. Sorry. So if I were to put this at a 1, nobody in their right mind would ever sell me an antimatter cell for 1 credit each. And if they did, hey, cool, do it, man. But if I put, let's say, a 1 here, hit enter, it just goes to the lowest price. So there's a little control there, but not really. It's kind of more of an illusion of control, right? Because you will, even at the most bottomed out price, your station manager will manage to find people to sell him that product at that price. It's stupid. I'm sorry, it really is, you know. Now the other problem that I have is, and I think this is a huge, and this is maybe the biggest thing that I think would just insanely help, and it's all, the idea came from this UI graphical issue. I don't know if this is for everybody. On mine, it's just only there, I think. No, it's always like right there, you can see that line, but over here it works out nice. That gave me an idea. I was like, wait a minute, what if this was a breakpoint line that you as a player can set for each of your components? What I'm saying is you could actually move this line, and if it is below that line, you're basically telling your manager buy, right, at whatever variables you want to set. If you get over that line, it's okay for you to dump products, sell at the price point that you set, right? And that would enable you to have a huge amount of control over your station, and you would directly be able to control what your manager's behavior is, right? And that's massive, and it's just a little line that you move, and if it goes over, buy, sell, super easy. And if it could be done, a final idea would be to have a third option called transfer priority, right? And what I mean by transfer priority is maybe a third button there you would hit, so that instead of having to rely on subordinates at your station to do stuff or whatever, you could actually only have a couple of them at your station to provide, let's say, food and medical supplies for your workforce, right? But you could send the rest of your ships off to auto trade and then just have a function under the auto trade. So let me show you. So like, let's say, let's look at my property on, let's look at this Vanguard. So let's say I would go to auto trade. I would add a where, and as we know, I need animator cells for this factory. Let's say that was in his list, right? Maybe I could have a little checkbox or asterisk thing or something there. And what auto trade would do is if he ever found a good deal on animator cells and he made that thing, after it did that trade, it would look to see if the logic overview, the manager had said, hey, this is a prioritized transfer where. So if he gets a good deal on that and goes out and finds it and sources it for you, he brings it back to you instead of selling it and transfers it to your thing, right? Makes sense. Really easy thing, I think. But I'm not a coder and not a video game designer, so I'm not going to pretend like I know what the hell I'm talking about, but it seems like it would be an intelligent way to control your ships, enable them to have them out there auto-trading, because when they're subordinates, sometimes they'll just sit there, and think about the idiocy of that. Like this guy, right now, just kicking it, right? This guy is actually a subordinate of the thing. How would it look if you had, let me put this in real life sort of stuff. What if you had a warehouse and there's 3 trucks that are just sitting there idling with, you know, paid employees sitting in them or whatever, but you got 3 trucks but a warehouse full of goods sitting right behind them, but they're not doing anything because the manager just wants that truck to go pick up sodas to make sure the vending machines inside the warehouse are full. Right now, you, the owner, come over and you're like, "What the hell, dude? What are you doing?" "Oh no, I've got this guy reserved to get soda and drinks for us, so our employees are happy." "Dude, I got product to move. What are you doing?" I'm sorry, man. That's okay. I'll get on that. And then you come back, and instead of 3 trucks sitting there, he's got 4 trucks sitting idle. Right? It doesn't make sense. And you add to the on top of that that whenever we put ships as subordinate, instead of when they're auto trading, if they trade with another faction, we get a little bit of rep for that. So not only are we seeing them moving constantly and not sitting idle and losing money, but by moving, they're generating revenue for us and improving our standing with factions. Why not adding a little feature into there where they could also go, "Oh, if I get this where, I will take it over to a station that's set it as a priority." Right? Makes sense, I think. But I think that's everything. I don't want to keep going into like everything that I think is crazy. I do have a suspicion as to this, but I think you guys obviously got that all figured out, and I was able to artificially fix it. Um, but yeah, just add those things, please, please, for the love of God, give us more control over this logical overview. One thing huge, that breakpoint. If you guys just put the breakpoint, if one thing was added, make it the breakpoint line. If you want to be even nicer, please give us the option to turn off buying or selling, but not just both. And then the fourth thing, which would just be a quality of life thing, is that transfer where is a final option that you could click, and then in the auto trade, another thing. So I've gone over it all. I hope this video is informative and people agree with it. If I've screwed anything up, I've missed something, leave in the comments. Trust me, I'm going to read them. I hope that maybe this gets to the ears of Egosoft, maybe, and the developer actually thinks it's a good idea, because I really do think, as having dumped 100 hours, obviously I love this game and the complexity, and I understand there's a lot going on and you guys are extremely busy. But I think these changes to the logic overview would have a huge, massive impact on player-owned stations. I can't see how they would not. Instead of us just having to do, oh, I hope the manager does his best, but and in this case, my manager's not stupid. My workforce is actually efficient. They're all at over 100% for anything that they're producing. I'm not at the workforce I want yet, the optimal number, but I'm getting there. Oh, final thing. We're going to really touch on this real quick. I wanted to, for drones, I wanted to make this station capable of producing its own drone workforce. So I'd already set a smart chip factory up, right? And I currently have this restricted. And obviously I was like, well, I'm going to have to go buy drone components and then transfer them over. And I did that, and then I didn't pay attention for the longest time. I just queued up the drones, set them for restock automatically, and put the numbers in. But he's not made them, right? Yet you can clearly see on the list that I do have drone components, right? I don't know, I'll restrict, even though there is no sell offer there, I'll restrict selling those. Maybe that was actually the issue, but I don't think it was, because if you look at the station, and go to information tab, is it auto saving right now? No. Why is this bogging down? I think I just have so much going on. No, that's not what I want. Click the station. Oh, there we go. If you look at my storage, wow, this is really bogged down. You can see that it's broken into 3 sections: products, where it's made, resources, raw resources, storage. Now, if the manager is intelligent enough to look and see the resources and be able to go, oh, okay, I'm going to flow this into creating product, why is he not able to connect the line from me having 321 drone components and 2,000 smart chips and actually make me some drones, right? It's almost as like the smart chips need to be in storage or something, or I need to actually get a drone component factory up and running added to the station. I don't know why my game's lagging like that. In that view, it's really bogging down. And I have a decent rig too. I'm running on a 1080 Ti FTW3, a 8700K processor, 8th generation processor, and 32 gigabytes of RAM. So not like a beast machine, but definitely not a potato either. So anyways, I hope this game really, I hope this video helps. I apologize if it was a little too wordy. Thank you for watching it, and happy gaming, and leave it at that.